with the welcome note by Dr. Brown. So please join us here. Thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा नाम इमरान है और आज आप जहाँ पे आए हैं, this is thank you very much for coming. Number one, I know it's really hot. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday afternoon. Our team definitely put a lot of thought behind it so that we can what will be the best time. So we really appreciate for you being here. Your presence here is really appreciative and. Not because you are here, but it's an indication that the idea that you're going to hear about today is your commitment to that. You are sitting in a room where you will be presenting the work of Center for Art-Based Methodologies. I am representing the team. Center for Art-Based Methodologies is an evolution of our thought process. The way our group looks at health. You heard that I'm a doctor, and then I was trained as an immunologist. I worked all my life in vaccines and infectious diseases. So hearing the word art from a person like me should come as a surprise to you. The reason we, as a group, are encouraging the use of art-based methodologies and well-being is because we focus a lot on well-being. And that's the core of our thinking. And we think that WHO also defines health as a holistic approach of mental, physical, social, emotional, and all of that. But I think when we use the word well-being, that defines all of it. But the challenge is that it is easy to define. How do you ensure that well-being is there? So PHC Global, we started like 6 years ago, just being another consulting group where we provide support to the government, to institutions, and with a core component of research. And that is what we thought we are. But as we moved on, as we started working, and then we saw, we worked a lot with the communities. And this definition of well-being definitely struck us. And we realized that if any change that has to come in our approach towards health and well-being and life, it has to have a holistic approach. So that's why at PHC Global, we have the Center for Art-Based Methodologies and Well-Being. We have digital technologies. We have communication for development. We have global health. And our core component that we rely on is collaboration. We believe, we trust, and it's like it is an inherent approach that we have that we must and we should collaborate. And I was just talking to our colleague from the department, from the government of Sindh, Junaid, because we met for the first time. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. And we are convinced that we cannot do it alone. We do it together. And we do it together by sharing knowledge, by talking to each other, by supporting our work. I will not take a lot of time, but I welcome you all. I really appreciate your being here. I hope the next 2 to 3 hours, they will talk about Gira Ishtarak. I just love the name, which definitely defines our core value of Ishtarak. So we hope that you enjoy that time. And thank you for those who participated in this work. We really appreciate, and we have learned a lot from you. And let's take this work forward. Let's not do a project. Let's think about how we can translate the knowledge that we have gained into our daily lives, in our work, in our communities, and in our surroundings. The last thing that I will end at is you must come across this term very often these days. It's called Global South. So we are not Global South. We are the East, where the sun arises, where the knowledge arises. So let's create knowledge, let's share knowledge, And with that, I welcome you all. I hope you enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imran, for your wise words. I would now like to welcome Rutaba Sayed, who is the curator for the Center of Arts-Based Methodologies and Wellbeing and is also the organizational lead. And with her, I'd like to welcome Dr. Maria Iqbal. They will be beginning the presentation. You want me to go ahead? Thank you so much for coming in. I love that a few more people are coming in. I'm just going to begin with that. Thank you so much, Dr. Imran, for saying the right words. You always ask, "Mujhe kyun khada kare?" Like, this is the reason why you inspire every day. And this project is you're going to hear the tone of emotions in this because it carries that for us. I'm going to begin with Girahesh Tarab, North of Collaboration. There's going to be a lot of meaning behind the name that we are going to express because, again, like Tali do Hath Se Bachti, it doesn't hurt without it. Can you go next? So, Girahesh Tarab is basically growing efforts towards one of the most crucial loose ends of the health system, that is mental health and psychosocial capacity. And can you go next? So I'll talk about a bit more in detail about the organizations that are involved in this. So CFAW, Center for Arts-Based Methodologies and Wellbeing, is a non-for-profit initiative by PHC Global. And honestly, this mother organization just came together one day and decided, okay, we're gonna touch hearts of communities and we're gonna do it through arts. And I'm so very grateful for it because it defined a lot of meaning for us. This is basically a growing hub, and it's a well-being hub that is integrating creative efforts and arts-based methods, and also touching base on clinical and non-clinical approaches as well, where we now come together to not only build communities, but also build capacity of those communities to be able to accept these things. Can you go next? Something that I love is the vision that has stayed with us for a while. So I think the main idea behind Center for Arts-Based Methodologies is that we want to create safe spaces where people feel safe enough to reflect, to talk about their feelings, to also share, and also develop to make more change. So it's more on creating safe spaces where beauty is celebrated, and again, beauty is not always beautiful. Areas of impact that really CFAW carries is community outreach and activism, and then there is our section that's Wellbeing Hub, and then there's research and intervention. There's a lot of info that we can go over, but you have our pamphlets on your table, so go ahead. And then I'm going to talk about the mother organization, honestly, because without PHC, we wouldn't be here. And PHC Global has been dedicated to well-being of individuals for, I think, 8 years now. And it's been a wonderful journey for them because it started from something so small. It started from an idea of creating impact in different sectors, and then it has been expanded to digital technologies and data analytics, communications, and then also for global health. And it's massive work, and now we also have non-communicable diseases as well. So that's it's just growing towards. And I love the fact that with CFAW it becomes a whole system approach. The next is our donor organization. International Organization of Migration is one of the main leading intergovernmental organization in the field of migration. They have been very welcoming towards the idea that we have had, and then it's more of their work are also on the sectors of providing support in case of emergencies, providing support in case of building capacity for resilience, building capacity to manage all forms of impacts and mobility. And talking of capacity, can you go next? I present to you Grad Ishtiraq. So Grad Ishtiraq is a collaboration with Pakistani mental health experts with a diaspora background settled abroad to deliver a 2-week training with arts embedded modules to key competency, mainly towards the key competency area that was trauma-informed approaches. And through various, I wish I had yarn in my hand today because I would have loved to do that, because through various knots, we wanted to really strengthen the work. Yes, at some point this gets integrated towards the entire health system on different levels, and an education system in different levels, because that makes a much larger impact. So a bit of a background towards trauma impact, and I'm going to really run through this because this is a room full of people who are very aware of this. That's the reason why we're here. So trauma in Pakistan, 50 million people in Pakistan right now suffer from mental health issues, and only 10% of that can actually access the treatment. Similarly, we have Pakistan, this is pivotal. We have Pakistan's population that is of more than 200 million, and we have less than 500 psychiatrists. It's like, whatever we're doing, we're gathering here is a drop in the bucket. And can you go next? Let's go next. I think this is very relevant. Especially for something that I think me and Dr. Maria, everyone, all of us have very felt greatly about was the adolescent work in this, because it's also a lot of experiences that set in the tone of our mental health in our adolescent years. And I call this scripts, that our scripts get made by the age of 6, 7, or 10, I remember those. So mainly even looking at this, for 5 to 11 years old age group, and their behavioral disorders are 10.2%. That's a lot. Can you go next? Similarly, I want to touch base on the fact that there are PTSD victims in Pakistan. So the chart itself shows that one of the key areas is Sawat Valley youth. That's 94.10%. And I want to highlight here that there's another initiative within PLC that has been working on this. So if you guys want any information, there is a Dalisha flyer on your tables, and there's Ananta and Pranasha, the leads for this project, are also available. But honestly, for Zero Suicide, they have been working for quite some time, and something that really requires more than ever attention right now for us. So the first knot that I would say, I'm gonna be very poetic about this. This is my job. So the first knot was really identifying, where we do see these capacity gaps. And कौन सी ऐसी specialties हैं जहाँ पे काम अब तक हो भी रहा है तो certain level पे नहीं हुआ है. What have we done and what have we not done yet? That was also in the areas of trauma therapy, adolescent therapy, family therapy, and art therapy. And then also we had then ideated towards capacity building of psychologists practicing in Pakistan, collaboration with Pakistani diaspora experts. So again, tying another knot there would be the most important thing is, and then another impact scaling that was the most important thing was, I remember Dr. Maria, you were very much emphasizing on this, that came a private institutes in higher doctoring or something, but training government and public sector के psychologists who are facing more patients on a daily basis, who are seeing more patients on a daily basis. So that's the pivotal point to really make that impact. So the training approach, the training approach had covered some of the key areas. So these areas also cover our pedagogies and then how the methodology work. I'll let Maria do that.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Assalamualaikum. मेरा नाम मारिया है. I'm the Wellbeing Lead at the Center for Arts-Based Methodologies and Wellbeing. I was also the project lead for this project. And I just want to thank everyone for coming today, for taking our time. I hope we can have some good conversation today, some good learnings. I'm just going to continue with the presentation now. So basically, जो हमारे approaches थे, जो thought process थी for how we operationalized this project. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. So कुछ हमारे philosophical approaches हैं जो कि हमारे CFOR Center for Art Space Methodologies and Wellbeing के हर काम को influence करते हैं. So these are the same approaches that we applied to this work. इसके अंदर, unless if you could go to the next slide. So decolonizing approach is the first one. So the idea behind this approach is that we have multiple knowledge bodies across the world. We have indigenous knowledge, we have indigenous psychological practices, we have indigenous faith frameworks. These knowledge bodies have greatly impacted Western psychology, how it's developed, how it's being delivered. Oftentimes, the credit is not assigned to where the roots of this knowledge actually are. But I think what happens is that उसको थोड़ा सा सेक्युलराइज करके डिटैच करके कॉन्टेक्स्ट से एम्बेड कर दिया जाता है. And I think for us one of the biggest things to do is to sort of acknowledge the roots of this work, to acknowledge the people who have built on the roots. So this is not to then take away from any work that anyone has done, but to sort of really see that there's bodies of knowledge that are coming together from all the parts of the world, and they need to be given equal weightage and then also integrated together. And then अगर इस approach की मैं थोड़ा सा और बात करूँ तो we try to apply it as individuals, as academics, as an organization, and then within our mental health work. Because it is such a deep-rooted thing, there are such deep-rooted messages that we've received about our work as a society, about our ethical positioning as a society, where we've been critiqued as being less than or corrupt or whatever. ये जो हमारे messages होते हैं that we view ourselves with, that we view our people around us with. So I think it's really important to sort of question कि वो messaging आई कहाँ से और क्यों आई. And is it really true that there's no ethical leadership to be found here, that we must look to the West for ethical leadership? And we can see कि ethics वहाँ पे भी आजकल कैसे play out हो रहे हैं. So there is a requirement for every person to look for ethical leadership around where they are, and then to uplift those voices, because the only way that we can consider each side of any issue is to be able to listen to each ethical voice from each community. So I think individually it's very important to then find mentors and people that provide guidance from local frameworks. And I'm also questioning within ourselves our preferences for language, our preferences for art, our preferences for हम कौन सी body of knowledge को अहमियत दे रहे हैं. So I think that's a very key part of the day-to-day work that we have to do. दूसरा academic is very important in the sense of कि if I'm running a grant project, then I am someone who's sitting, जैसे हम आखान से मेरा background है, आखान को हम Pink Palace कहते थे. So it's a bit detached from the local reality outside, right? And because I have not lived that reality, I cannot be a voice for that reality. The best I can do is I can create a platform to give someone else the voice, and then capture that voice and amplify that voice. So that is my role as an academic, as a decolonizing academic. Dr. Ran takes issue with the word, but for the purposes of communicating these concepts. And then the other thing here is कि जो हमारे research designs हैं, जो हमारी research methodologies हैं, जो हमारी research की conclusions हैं, are they conclusions that we are drawing sitting disconnected from the communities, or are we actually taking the work back to the communities and we like हमें ये पता चला, आपका इसके बारे में क्या ख्याल है, and including that voice in our narratives. I think is basically some tools for sort of making sure that it's not just the perspective of academics who tend to be middle class, upper middle class, coming from a certain financial background, coming from a certain educational exposure, but there is, and that's not complete knowledge then, right? So to get complete knowledge, we need to amplify voices. Organizational, again, funding sources कौन से हो सकते हैं जिससे हम decolonize कर सकते हैं? Who is determining the priorities? Who is determining कि किस तरह का काम हो रहा है? And again, it's very important to reflect on having a mix of sources for this. Crediting is another thing. If I am working with people in the field or their voices getting credited in the same way as someone with an academic background, making sure that the representation of the work at each level gets done so that people see that it's not just one person sitting in a pink palace who you can network and collaborate with, but there's actually a whole system and community behind them that you should also be engaging with, listening to, and networking and collaborating with. And then specifically for mental health work, because of a lot of the frameworks for mental health do come from Western science, then we have to think about how we are applying them in local context. इसका एक example मैं दूंगी कि एक हमारे syndrome है, tension syndrome कहलाता है, which is something that shows up a lot in our primary care settings, and it's something that you wouldn't really find in the DSM as such. But it's how most of our women present to primary care settings. So there is also a need to amplify this research that documents कि हमारे system में distress किस तरह manifest कर रही है, हमारी communities में distress कैसे manifest कर रही है, और हमारी communities के अंदर कौन-कौन से वो तरीके हैं जिससे support मिल रही है या जिससे healing मिल रही है. So documenting and amplifying those narratives and those is very important, and then using that language is very important. So if I can go to a community and I can be like, आप सब depression, anxiety मेरे साथ बात करो, or I can use their language and I can be like, हम tension पे बात करते हैं. So I think it's very important to then also bring this lens to the language that we use when we talk about mental health in communities. So yeah, then coming to the operationalization of this, this is how we attempted to do some of this. We used local narratives, which Rataba is looking at, she put out just amazing things. We used narrative building. So again, when I talk about mental health and why this decolonizing work is so important within the domains of mental health, is just because of the issue of self-esteem, the issue of relationships. If I can't lean into my culture, my heritage from an empowered stance, then it's going to impact my self-esteem. And उस empowerment के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि I not only feel empowered, but I also see the power in the wisdom that is coming to me in an inherited sense from the mothers, from the daddies, from the community leaders. Because उन चीज़ों को हम discount कर देते हैं because they're not in a Western fancy packaging, right? So acknowledging that wisdom and building narratives that empower those figures in our society and our communities is another thing. Then traditional analogies, contextual familiarity. So a lot of the graphics were derived, a lot of the wordings, a lot of the metaphors, a lot of the examples, they're very rooted in local concepts. And obviously, shuru ka kaam hai, it's a little bit it's a journey of also deepening into this work for ourselves. So इसमें हम कुछ हद तक कर पाएंगे, next project में कुछ और हद तक कर पाएंगे. It's a cycle like that. So trauma-informed, Sarah can speak better to this in the panel discussion. But trauma-informed approaches basically recognize that each human individual has undergone certain experiences that have been beyond their capacity to navigate. Trauma का ये मतलब होता है कि हमारे साथ कुछ ऐसा हुआ जो हमारी capacity to navigate से ज़्यादा बड़ा था. And that shapes our physiology, our body, our thoughts, our behaviors, our beliefs. And that's not a problem. Like it's not a thing of to medicalize कि ओ ये चीज़ है जिसके ऊपर हमें fix करना है. It's more about honoring कि again, coming back to empowerment as an individual, that is about honoring that you went through something really difficult. These are the ways that you cope with it, and this served you for a point. What are other things that serve you at this point? So this holistic, humanistic sort of approach to understanding even mental health symptoms or suffering, and then within that also then recognizing that within each other and in the workspaces that we create, in the organizations that we create, in the communities that we create, and then creating space for individuals to have their needs met, their unique needs met, so that their specific trauma gets supported rather than triggered. So So these are just some of the things जो trauma informed lens होता है उसके अंदर it's a perception of safety, so not a realistic perception of safety, so that I am safe and that is actually true. Deep and stable relationships, which are very difficult to establish without a perception of safety. A sense of personal agency, I have the power to make change if I wish. Ability to respond to situations, and a sense of interpersonal, political, and societal safety. So again, trauma is an ongoing thing. I think something that is very deeply rooted for me is that the work of trauma is not apolitical, it is political work because it needs political stabilization for people to develop a sense of safety in their bodies. The somatic bottom-up approach is basically this approach that then again here there is the concept as we work within CFOR, these are also values that we try to embed within our organization, and then if we do any project, then we try to embed these values within that. So somatic bottom-up approaches, इसका basically thought process ये है कि we have traditionally mental health work has been very cognitively oriented. So we work with the mind. Bottom-up approaches ये कहते हैं कि trauma जो है, negative life circumstances जो हैं, they don't just impact the mind, but they also impact the physiology, they impact the body, they impact the nervous system. So one of the ways we can do is we can work with the mind, but that limits us. If we work with the body, then that gives us more space to work with the body to create a sense of safety, which will then influence the mind and vice versa. So that is the key sort of framework of somatic bottom-up approaches. Mindfulness-based approaches, again, mindfulness is again decolonizing वाली बात वापस आ गई कि this is something that is very rooted in Eastern philosophy. Buddhism के इसके अंदर ज़्यादातर origination है, and it's gone to influence a lot of DBT, a lot of different therapeutic modalities that are very prominent in the West now. Mindfulness, the concept is just awareness of the moment as it arises and passes. So being able to hold whatever is arising in the moment, whether that is painful, whether that is joyous, and then being able to create a container for that difficult life experience. So mindfulness usually exercises होती हैं, meditations होती हैं that we include within our training to give participants and trainers that tool. Okay, with Ava, I will ask you to do the art space.
So, like all the other approaches, like one of the most important things that CFOR carries as the organization goal itself was to have it be arts integrated. And to have it be arts integrated, it's like introducing a third language. And for that, we really wanted to work with the familiarity and the resistance of it. And then we had, I had wonderful support. I had a lead with me in this, and I couldn't be more grateful for the people that we found, honestly. Because with the art-based approach, it was more towards कि हम contextual methods के ऊपर ही बात करेंगे. I will not introduce sandbox until मेरे context के लोग sandbox से familiar हो जाए. We cannot introduce and we had sort of a mixed media approach to really integrate mixed media arts and then also have them visualize different manners that, okay, I do not have to be good at art to do art-based methods. And that's the familiarity and resistance that was kind of a push and pull with this project continuously. Then, can you go next week to and then we had the community building angle. Honestly, I believe that nothing has made me feel more safe than a community in a container setting. And that was pivotal for us कि हम safety and containment के ऊपर ज़रूर काम करें. और ये value जो है वो जितने facilitators हैं वो लाज़मी ये चीज़ share करते हो. हम आपस में ये चीज़ share करते हो कि I should feel safe enough to share in this room. And then the same way that a collaborative space can be really nurturing as well. So I think that it's a value that CIFA itself carries so well. Okay? There's no way that one person will have negative talk for themselves without the whole team just gathering and being like, why did you say that? Why is this happening? Do you need support? So I think that's the value that just came so natural to us. You can go next, I can build on this, yeah. And then came in the second knot, where it was about really finding the building blocks of actually developing this. Yeah, I think Mario can take the lead in this.
Yeah, okay, so these are wonderful experts that we onboarded, Sara and Abhi, who brought so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much, I think, just graciousness in sharing their knowledge with us for this training. I think the reason that we reached out to them is we've been familiar with their work. We know that their approaches align with our approaches in terms of the decolonizing approach, in terms of the mindfulness, somatic approaches. So I think that led for a very wonderful collaboration, and I would really appreciate if you could give them a round of applause for that and I'm really appreciating this wonderful training. These, Durin Najaf and Wadia, also were part of the training. They gave guest lectures. We'll talk a bit about their guest lectures in the next slides. They're not with us here because this is a diaspora project. We were lucky enough to find two diaspora experts in Karachi, but these two are based, one is in Australia and one is in Karachi, which we're going to today. So these are the pedagogies. So हमने जो सारे philosophical approaches discuss किए थे for this training, ये उनकी implementation के तरीके थे. There was a lot of experiential learning using art-based methodologies. It was a lot of reflective processes, journaling reflections, reflections through conversation, reflections through art making. And then we had different toolkits that we were also giving participants with that they could go back to their own practices, to their own clinical practices, and then apply these learnings there. So training जो हमारी थी पहला हफ्ता ऑनलाइन था, दूसरा हफ्ता इन पर्सन था. इन पर्सन वाले हफ्ते में डेफिनेटली ज़्यादा मज़ा आया, मगर ऑनलाइन हफ्ता भी ज़रूरी था because it's a core need of working across cities now. Pedagogies we discussed a bit. So this is just some of our team working, coming up with the arts-based approaches and finalizing the content. So this is basically what the training covers. It covers introduction to trauma. It covers what trauma-informed care looks like. And this is not trauma-informed therapy or counseling, but this is more holistically trauma-informed care कैसी दिखती है. So it can be applied in different settings. It can be applied in educational settings. It can be applied in broader healthcare settings. Then neurodivergence and trauma-informed care, because neurodevelopmental impact trauma का बहुत ज़्यादा है. Neurodivergent populations जो हैं, they are predisposed to trauma in a very specific and unique way. तो उसके बारे में भी बात करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And then trauma-informed CBT. So पहला मॉड्यूल हमारा था कि सदमा क्या होता है, what is trauma. इसके अंदर हमने ये कवर किया था कि ट्रॉमा जो है हमारी ज़िंदगी पे क्या असर रखता है, ट्रॉमा हमारे दिमाग की बनावट पे क्या असर रखता है, जो हमारे नर्वस सिस्टम है, जो हमारी अंदरूनी वायरिंग है, उस पर क्या असर रखता है, क्या तरीके हैं जिससे लोग यूजुअली ट्रॉमा से निपट रहे होते हैं, और जो हमारी वायरिंग है उससे हाउ डू वी प्ले विद दैट वायरिंग टू रिकवर फ्रॉम ट्रॉमा. The second module was trauma-informed care, सदमे से आगाही और देखभाल. So इसके अंदर we talked a lot about the different approaches. जो bottom-up approach है, जो mindfulness-based approaches हैं, polyvagal theory है, जो theoretical foundations हैं trauma-informed care की, and then we gave practical toolkits for how to apply those in clinical settings as well as non-clinical settings individually with our own selves. Module 3 was arts-based. Arts-based methodologies in trauma-informed care. Yeah. तो इसके अंदर हमने एक्सप्रेसिव आर्ट्स थेरेपी क्या होता है वो कवर किया, हमने कवर किया कि कल्चरल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी और एंथोलॉजी को हम कैसे इनकॉर्पोरेट कर सकते हैं clinical settings में, trauma informed care में, and we did this very experientially using metaphor, using activities. The fourth part of this model was expressive arts therapy. The 4-part model for expressive arts therapy and sensory motor art therapy, which is again a very somatic embodied practice that utilizes arts. Module 4 was neurodivergence and trauma-informed care. This was a very interesting module because this led to a very interesting conversation. So our facilitator for this module basically shared during the session that she also was neurodivergent and then had ADHD, and that really allowed us the space to open up to stigma हमारे अंदर कहाँ का and challenge that, because I think it led to a lot of self-disclosure from everyone in the room कि अच्छा मेरा तो delayed diagnosis है, अच्छा मैं तो PTSD, अच्छा मैं तो ADHD, and then it would it really led to a conversation around how we navigate these labels or these terms in our daily lives and what the actual impact of them is and how we can support each other through that. तो mental health work का एक बहुत key phrase है nothing about us without us. किसी भी disability work का बहुत key phrase है. And this is why it's also important to have people that have navigated mental health care systems as patients or as family members, to have them be such a core part of the work, because that हमसे बेहतर कोई नहीं पहचान पाता कि कड़ियाँ कहाँ टूटी हैं सिस्टम में. So module 4, neurodivergence and trauma-informed care, we talked about this. Module 5 was trauma-informed CBT. इसका reason यही था कि a lot of practitioners do have CBT practice. So we did cover a little bit as a guest lecture of कि ये जो हम सारी बातें कर रहे हैं इसको जिसका CBT का practice है उसमें वो कैसे integrate कर सकते हैं. Okay. So the third notch, this was collaboration, participants, and sustenance structure. Everyone in this room who made this possible, because I think so basically we went to different. We reached out to some mental health authority. Dr. Prem Aja was super supportive and helpful in linking us to all of the wonderful people in this room. जिनके साथ हमने बात की, फिर हम डॉक्टर निसार सोहन के पास गए, हम डॉक्टर उस्मा के पास गए, हम डॉक्टर दर्श के पास गए, हम डॉक्टर चुनीलाल के पास गए, and they all, because I have worked in the medical sector, मुझे पता है कि किसी डॉक्टर या साइकियाट्रिस्ट या किसी भी मेंटल हेल्थ, किसी भी हॉस्पिटल के अंदर से किसी का टाइम फारिग करना है, किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर से किसी का टाइम फारिग करना कितना मुश्किल होता है. So I'm very grateful कि आप लोगों ने इतना I can imagine that it was not easy to take out those 2 weeks, and I'm very grateful for that. And it could not have been possible without the support. So ये हमारे participants का breakdown है. So 74% of our participants had not received an arts-based training before. And then a similar percentage, more than 70%, also had not received a trauma-informed training before. So this really highlights कि कितनी ज़्यादा need है for these more specialized trainings. Yes, there is a need कि जो basic level पे mental health capacity building का काम हो वो हो, but there is also a need कि जो specialized services हैं उनके ऊपर भी काम हो. Because a lot of times what happens is that even if people enter the care system, they won't receive the specific type of care that they need. And then trauma-informed approaches, because as Ritawa mentioned, we have such a high predisposition to PTSD, इतने traumatic, अलग-अलग traumas हमारी वहाँ गुजर चुकी है. So this is something, and then we have cultural things, predispositions such as domestic violence and things like that, that really predispose us to have very high rates of PTSD and trauma exposure, and it's very important that mental health providers and doctors both have these skill sets. So sustained structure, these are the ways that we explored sustenance of this curriculum, branch collaborations, integration in university curriculum collaborations. So the delivery of the training, and I should hand it over to Dawa.
Yeah, I can close that for you.
Thank you, Maria.
I know it's a bit jilted that we're both like doing switcheroo every 2 seconds, but that's exactly how this project was. All of us were really integrated. So, again, we're gonna end this vertically. This was the bow of delivery. So it's the one where all of the knots come together and everybody comes together to really make this happen. Can you go next? So we had one session, 4 days happen online and then 4 days happen in person in Beach Luxury, which was just, I think it's the bubble that we wanna keep safe for ourselves because it was really experiential. And some of the key areas that we did look through is, can you go next? Sure. Yeah. So some of the key areas, and I hold Sarah in the highest gratitude. Like this is life's work to be sharing with this many people on that level of empathy, to hold everybody with so much love. That was Sarah's work. And this was just, it was powerful. It was powerful to see each mindful practice that Sarah had held in online trainings and in-person trainings, and really just holding community together and accepting everything as it comes. It was really powerful. And the similar way that we had built these mindful practices within the booklets, within their curricula as well, so that's something that carries on for the participants later. So not only did she model this for us, it was built in for them to really carry on. And a similar way, we can go next. Like I said, I can't be more proud of Amir and me just finding each other at this point. But it was a lot of different arts-based methods that were integrated within the training itself. And one of the pedagogies that we were really focused on was how different, कितनी mixed media arts हम introduce करवा सकते हैं 2 हफ्ते के अंदर, with a gap in between, and what can we actually do with that. So working with the familiarity and resistance, we had developed to work for them with bilateral stimulation art, where you basically use your entire body to do art together. And then there was clay and sandbox therapy. You can see some of the clay work in the back of the room, but clay and music therapy was just really working hand in hand together. And there was storytelling, there was poetry building, there was painting, there was reflective art journaling, and the reflective art journaling really made it into their booklets on each page, where we had given them space के कचरा भी बनाना है लेकिन बनाएं. Explore the feeling outside of words. It has to have something that, and I really love making people uncomfortable with arts. So it was really enjoyable by the second week, where everybody had just a bit of resistance and then the artist came through. I think Dr. Chandler is in this room. I honestly cannot express the amount of art that came out of this one doctor. It was amazing. And similarly, had yarn circle and all of these, like some community aspects of the art also built in. Anyone else? So yeah, these are some of the images, and like how painting was integrated, how play was integrated, how music is integrated. Also someone who is here is also someone who was our lead for music. And there was a lot of reflective art. And you can go next. Then there were the lectures that we had, again, the embodiment of all of those lectures. It's one way to have like arts be put down on a piece of paper as like ye cheezein aise karni hai, and then having people who not only truly believe in it but embody it right then and there. And that's the way the lectures were also held. I think because it was so integrated, like within activity and lectures together, that they were. I think it was a really enjoyable process. We can go next. I can show more. Yeah, and then. So this magic you see is Abir here. This is Abir, like absolutely like creating journaling prompts and worksheets where like it's integrated and people understand reflective journaling and worksheets जो हैं मैं उसके through भी arts के through भी हम कितना integrated approach create कर सकते हैं. I'm gonna talk about my favorite thing about this is also this first bit of the मटका का हमारा बहाव में ठहराव की activity जो थी. And it's about that just turning the whole metaphor into कि वो सोनी माहिवाल की कहानी है, and the entire concept around is that the trauma-informed approaches really work as Soni Mahiwal की कहानी. The Soni cannot fix the society. वो मटका fix कर सकती है. That's it. her मटके में छेद है. To go across the river, वो अभी सिर्फ मटका fix कर सकती है. So here and now, and really working through the ventral vagal anchors and a lot of the journaling prompts and the worksheets, it was really engaging. It was really like someone had put their heart into this, and I applaud you for that. Yeah. We can go next. So again, like we talked about our wonderful guest lecturers who had put down their guest lectures as well. We had one online, one in person here, and even the one online and even the one in person, like there was so much like conversation with the guest lecturers that was happening that it felt really communal. So I think the community aspect was really integrated into this. And then again, like I think I have talked about this in bits where modeling of trauma-informed communication was done by the facilitators and project team themselves. Like if we are dysregulated ourselves, we would literally address कि अभी तो हम सब flight mode में अभी काम कर रहे हैं, and we would literally address with each other कि like the way we were communicating, we were making sure कि we ourselves are trauma informed in our communication. We ourselves are embodying this. That's the only way to be honest about work. And I think we are just more than lucky that we had Sarah and Abir and Maria and everyone who was facilitating with us was carrying the same set of values that made the biggest impact. And you can see some of our very cute, like our participants' quotes. These are something I told really, that's just beautiful that I think the feedback really made us believe in ourselves again. Anyone else? So yeah, like even something like there's a certain way that हम कभी I don't like podiums. Like this is a barrier itself. So sometimes like I think the community aspect of it कि अच्छा अब जितना मैं आपसे सीख रही हूँ उतना ही आप भी मुझे सिखा रहे हैं. जितना मैं आपको सिखा रही हूँ उतना ही आप भी मुझे सिखा रहे हैं. That's what happened in two ways. And the excitement of this was to carry us energy throughout. And you can go next, I can show something else. Yeah. And then there was curation as modeling space too. Like I had हमारी गलियाँ पीछे हुई थी. We had our my wonderful artists Alishba and Bhavna who are sitting way back in the room today. But they were creating a live artwork of the whole training in the back of the room. So something welcoming, even questions there, and you guys can have a look around after and see the artworks as well. But just that itself was that okay, अच्छा मैं अगर art-based methodologies के ऊपर या फिर मैं community के ऊपर या मैं इसकी collective expression के ऊपर बात कर रही हूँ तो मैं उसको model करके भी दिखा रही हूँ. So that was the aim, to really utilize this opportunity that we had. Anyone else? Yeah, this is definitely Maria's domain, so I'll switch over again.
मैं इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा डेप्थ में नहीं जाऊँगी. I try to keep it simple and just try to focus on the important points. But हमारी जो monitoring and evaluation की methodology थी to check कि हमें जो सारे काम किया उसको फायदा भी हुआ कि नहीं. So we basically used qualitative, quantitative and arts-based methods. Arts-based methods जो हैं वो हमारा process data ज़्यादा है, उससे हम उनको analyze कर रहे होंगे ये देखने के लिए कि क्या metaphor participants ने use किए, क्या expressions use किए, and that's going to guide our future work because it's going to build on our knowledge of what people find easy to use and talk about. जो evaluation थी वो ज़्यादातर pre-test, post-test और feedback forms थे. So pre-test and post-test scores, we did a knowledge questionnaire before the training, we did a knowledge questionnaire after the training. फिर उनके हम means को compare करते हैं using a paired t-test. Next slide. Yeah, so we found a total increase जो था that was above 140 points in knowledge scores. Average increase जो था that was 4-point increase in each person's knowledge. This was statistically significant and which is very rare for mental health interventions. It also had a large impact size. जो भी typically आपको mental health interventions में नहीं दिखता है because that knowledge is very difficult to shift. So this was definitely an achievement for us. And if you could go to the previous slide. This is again showing that only 30% of the participants had received any type of trauma-informed training in the past, and similar with art space. So just showing the need for these types of trainings. And then again, 70% of our participants felt that the training content was very relevant. 65 felt that it was very clear, extremely clear, and then we have around 15% who felt it was mostly clear. So again, these are some wonderful participant quotes, which again, I'm super grateful to the openness of the participants to be able to take in this new information. I know mindfulness approaches and things will tell us that knowledge मुझे पता नहीं कि power है कि नहीं. Some of this knowledge about yourself can be very difficult to hold. And I'm very, very grateful. I think this is that spiritual labor, and I'm very grateful for the people who take on that labor. Someone shared that they'll be treating their trauma patients differently now. It will help their patients to learn about mindful techniques. Someone else said that it changed their perspective on how they look at neurodivergent people. And someone else shared that how art therapy can help create a cultural and nuanced sort of space to work on trauma with. So challenges and opportunities, I think, so one of the biggest opportunities that we see here is the collaborations that we made through this project. We hope to work with each and every organization, each and every person who has supported this project in the future also. I really want to see this as काम की शुरुआत and not काम की, not just a project हो गया खत्म हो गया. We hope to collaborate in the future as well. And then deeper dives. ये एक 2 हफ्ते की training थी. We would love to offer something more, something deeper, longer trainings. And that is the hope, to build these collaborations that allow that type of work to happen. And then scale up and sustenance, obviously integrating this training into broader frameworks, broader spaces, broader health system, education system. That's the sustenance. That duration, 4 महीने में team ने सब कुछ किया है. It involved a lot of overtime, a lot of speaker size and things like that. So duration was definitely a challenge, and then systematic sustenance we can see going forward is of course a challenging but worthwhile thing to take on. So impact of the initiative, I think training बहुत खूबसूरत ही develop हो चुकी है. It's available. Sarah is here. You can reach out to her around having such trainings at your space. So one of the things that is really impactful is that now this thing exists now. It is here for other people to benefit from. You just need to reach out, contact us. Collaborations built, and then co-creative process and its impact, because obviously co-creative process में सिर्फ participant का viewpoint नहीं बदल रहा होता, हमारा भी viewpoint बदल रहा होता है. तो obviously हमारे ऊपर जो impact है learnings का वो भी है. What we learned from visiting Kalaji, what we learned from visiting other hospitals, that is definitely going to influence our work going forward. And it adds depth and nuance and color to our work. So I think एक वो भी चीज़ है. Their access to training, diffusion of impact, so much practice that we heard people say that is going to impact how they practice. So obviously to patient body के ऊपर impact है, that is also there. And I think we're just very grateful to have had the opportunity to do something like this. And then the improvement in knowledge, that's the final impact piece. Thank you. Thank you so much for getting through this long presentation. सारी we have our reports की copies हैं, उसमें सबकी summary है, जो हमने बात की. We can also look through that. Shiza will tell us what to do next. Yes.
Alright, for the panel discussion, I'd like to invite Abir and Sarah to join us on stage, please.
Hello.
Alright, so now we will be beginning with the panel discussion. On the panel we have Sarah Khatri. Sarah is a trauma therapist who received her master's in clinical psychology from Toronto, Canada, and was the lead expert for our project's curriculum development. Next to her we have Abir Ahmed, who is an art therapist. She also received her master's in art therapy counseling from Adler University, specialized in Algerian therapy, DBT, and ACT. And he was also the art therapist for our project. And so I'd like to first thank you all. Thank you both for being here on a Saturday in this heat wave. Thank you for being here. Some of the questions, as you both know, are going to revolve around art and trauma and why these concepts have really been critical for us throughout the project and also for the greater conversation on mental health and well-being in Pakistan. So to both of you, I would like to pose the question. Essentially take turns and talk about your work, especially as it pertains to trauma and to art therapy. Hello. Hello.
It's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So art therapy, for those of you who don't know, therapy, as you know, is a space where you can express yourself, and art is just a form of expression that you use. बाज़ दफ़ा ऐसा होता है कि कुछ लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि तस्वीरों से ज़्यादा वो रेजोनेट कर सकते हैं, or videos, music. Like when you hear music, you can completely associate a specific emotion to it. That's the kind of opportunity that art therapy gives, which isn't as common in talk therapy, regular talk therapy. And when it comes to specifically used in cases of trauma, you can use it in a lot of ways. For example, trauma-informed care का जो first step है, which is creating that sense of safety. So visualizing what a safe space looks like, trying to come up with like the different five senses that you can use through art to incorporate like what this safe space could look like. So there are many ways that art therapy can be incorporated with trauma, and that's one of the things that we focus on in this training as part of like my role.
What was the question again?
So the question that we asked both of you was to talk about a little bit of your work and Sarah, for you, especially that as it pertains to trauma.
Okay, thank you. Can you guys hear me? Yes. So I work as a psychotherapist, trauma-focused, trauma-informed, whatever language works. But I find that that's quite limiting because that's one-on-one work. And while that has a lot of power, a lot of trauma healing happens outside of the therapy room. So it doesn't really happen so much inside the therapy room as much as it happens within community and inside our homes, in our cultures, in our societies. And so that's where it becomes really complex. But I think just coming back to the question, the way my work pertains to trauma is that I like to do a bit of a both and. So I focus some of my energy on one-on-one work, which gives me a different kind of joy because it's very personalized, it's very intimate. It's very powerful also, especially when you bring the body into the therapy room. Because a lot of trauma lives inside our bodies. I'm sure you all heard of that before. And that can really start to play out in the therapy room. However, I feel like my passion lies in community healing, and so then you want to take it outside of the therapy room, which essentially ends up happening in communities such as schools, hospitals, which is why I think this project was also very exciting for me. So I thought.
Thank you both for your responses. Sarah, I have a question for you. What is trauma and why is talking about it important?
Massive question. Every time I get asked this question, I struggle to answer because it's that's such a large question. What is trauma? I think a lot of us understand trauma as a one-time bad incident. It's something bad that happened and then it left a mark on us. And while that is trauma, trauma is also something way beyond that. And I think trauma is universal in the sense that we all have been impacted by some form of trauma, whether that's family trauma, cultural trauma, personal trauma, or collective trauma, which I think we're all going through right now as like in the world. And these things impact how we perceive ourselves and the world around us and how we relate to each other. So I think it's hard to describe trauma just in and of itself without going into all of the other aspects that link to trauma, which is culture, schooling, education, parenting, the health system, how doctors approach their patients, also just humanity. I think we've lost that along the way. So just the power of mindfulness and presence and connection. I really like the quote by Gabor Mate. He says, safety is not the absence of threat, but the presence of connection. And I love that, and I think that's what's missing in our circles. We are all trying to do this thing that we've been told to do, academically, theoretically, and I was part of that problem maybe 10 years ago. But now I'm realizing that it's really about how resourced I am as a practitioner, as a person, as a human being, as a friend, as a daughter, and that's what's going to impact how much safety I can create for the other person in front of me so that they can then heal themselves. If that makes sense.
It does. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for walking us through this. Abir, I wanted to ask you, and I think a number of us wanted to ask you this question. You talked a little bit about what art therapy is and how it's different from talk therapy. Can you expand and explain a little bit about how art can contribute to a trauma-informed community or society? And I'd appreciate if you could touch upon the role of different sectors, such as health, governance, education, in your response.
So the thing about art is, especially in a space where art therapy is being practiced, is there's an enforcement of no judgment. I feel like the participants from Hyderabad can recall me constantly reminding you that there's no judgment when we're doing art. One of the reasons is that because as a community or even as a whole, we feel that art is only specific for people who are very skilled. So in art therapy, what we actually do is we unlearn that connotation of, okay, this is a very specified field, and go into more into exploring what that discomfort feels like when I use a specific medium that either I'm not used to using. For example, pen or pencil से हम सबको पता है कि ज़्यादा control होता है, but with something like watercolor or with something like ink, उसमें हम सबको ये भी पता है कि watercolor या paints वगैरह में control इतना ज़्यादा नहीं होता. So अगर me as an individual who's never explored these mediums, if I try these out, what would that look like? How would that make me feel emotionally or internally? Let it go of that control. That's one way to look at it, in terms of a therapeutic setting. Could you remind me?
The second part of the question was how can health, education, governance, and development sectors facilitate this process?
So I can offer a bit insight about the health perspective. Mainly training we have with Behavioral Health Hospital in Huye, where I was trained in DBT. और वहाँ पे it was like a medical hospital जहाँ पे patients की treatment होती थी, but they also had a specified curriculum of expressive therapies. तो जो patients admit हुए होते थे, उन लोगों की group therapies भी होती थी. For them to, when they're discharged, वो क्या क्या लाइफ लिव करेंगे या वो किन चीज़ों में अपने आप को अपना जहन उसमें डालेंगे. Even like small habits that you feel like are pulling back your health. For example, कुछ भी छोटी सी चीज़ हो सकती है, like unhealthy habits. So the group therapy experience would offer that support that इन चीज़ों को आप as a group explore करें in this hospital, in this space where you're trying to not only improve your health but also improve your mental health. Like physical health improve हो रही है, but mental health भी improve हो रही है. So from a health, from like a hospital setting, like these things can be introduced. I know education sectors may, like schools or even workplaces may, there is like a designated like mental health specialist who is like there to either counsel students or workers. कभी conflict resolution की बात हो जाती है, तो इन चीज़ों में भी like there's like an inclusion of this sort of person to be there in these different sectors, and I feel like that's a huge thing in like the mental health field.
Thank you so much, Abir, for your response. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for questions, if you have any for our panelists. Any questions?
You can take around the mic if anybody needs it, by the way.
We have a question there.
Everyone, Assalamualaikum. Meera Hira Khaja from Syrian Institute of Psychiatry, Hyderabad. So I have not question, but I am part also this training. तो जो मैंने लर्न किया था वो अभी हमने एक प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज किया अपने इंस्टीट्यूट के अंदर. तो जो आपका मैम से क्वेश्चन था अमरीन से, तो मैंने इनको नाम दिया अम्ब्रेला, इनके नाम के ऊपर, क्योंकि जब बात आती है कलर की तो एक चीज़ ये होती है कि हम जब अवेयरनेस की बात पे आते हैं, चाहे वो हेल्थ सेक्टर में हो या एजुकेशन में हो, तो और अगर हम कम्युनिटी की बात पे भी आते हैं तो हमें ये होता है कि अवेयरनेस के अंदर सारे एजुकेटेड भी नहीं होते. तो इस अवेयरनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए हमें कलर ने बहुत साथ दिया, वो आर्ट ने दिया. रियली कि हमने अप्रिशिएट किया था, और वो अप्रिशिएट मेरे लिए नहीं थी लेकिन इस ट्रेनिंग वालों के लिए भी थी. तो क्योंकि मैंने लर्न जहाँ से किया था, तो एक हमने बोतल बनाई थी, हमारा प्रोग्राम था ड्रग अब्यूज पे. हमने 2 कलर लिए थे, हमारे पास ये विजन होते थे, लेकिन इस चीज़ को जो है परफॉर्म या हम प्लेटफॉर्म पे कैसे लेकर आए, तो इस ट्रेनिंग के थ्रू हमने इसको प्लेटफॉर्म पे लेकर आए थे, कलर्स को, कलर ट्रेनिंग को, आर्ट ट्रेनिंग को. तो एक बोतल ली, उसको 2 कलर किया एक चार्ट के ऊपर, उसके ऊपर 2 कलर दिए थे जिसमें हमने एक रेड शो किया और एक ग्रीन शो किया. तो मेरे से भी वहाँ पे क्वेश्चन हुआ कि आपने इसको ये कलर 2 शो क्यों किए हैं. तो आई एम सॉरी शिवा कि मैं आपसे इस क्वेश्चन का थोड़ा वो कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि आपने खुद कहा है कि लर्निंग जो है वो खुद ही बनती है. तो ये था कि मैं आपको कह रही कि आपकी अप्रिशिएट है हमारे पास कि रेड कलर का मैंने उसको कहा कि अगर आप ये ड्रग्स पीते जाएंगे तो रेड मीन्स के स्टॉप. अगर हम लाइट की बात पे जाए, ट्रैफिक में भी आता है तो रेड मीन्स स्टॉप. रेड मीन्स ब्लड का कलर है, आपका ब्लड जाया हो रहा है, आप एग्रेसिव हो रहे हैं. और ग्रीन को मैंने अमन में रखा था. तो अगर आप ड्रग्स नहीं लेंगे तो इस ग्रीन का मकसद यह है कि आप ग्रीन रहेंगे, आप अमन में रहेंगे, आप पीसफुल रहेंगे, आपका फैमिली पेयर कंप्लीट रहेगा, आपकी लाइफ रहेगी. अगर आप रेड की तरफ चले जाएंगे तो आप फाइट में चले जाएंगे, आप एग्रेसिव हो जाएंगे, आपकी फिजिकली और मेंटली दोनों हेल्थ की जो है वो डेथ हो जाएगी. तो आई मीन कि कलर का जो है हमें तो बहुत बेनिफिट मिला है, क्योंकि सारे एजुकेटेड नहीं होते, तो अवेयरनेस में इसका बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है.
Round of applause for Ms. Rahila Khaja. She is a participant of our training from Kavach Institute of Psychiatry. We have another question in the back.
अच्छा जी, मेरा नाम मुश्ताक हुसैन है, सर सी हॉस्पिटल हैदराबाद से. तो बाकी जिस तरह स्टाफ राहिला ने बताया, अभी हमने इंटरनेशनल डे अगेंस्ट ड्रग एब्यूज सेलिब्रेट किया हॉस्पिटल में. तो वर्ल्ड ड्रग डे के हिसाब से वहाँ पे हमने जो ट्रेनिंग की थी ना, आपकी आपकी पर्सी, तो उस ट्रेनिंग में हमने वहाँ पे सबको कलर्स और ड्राइंग्स के थ्रू जो ना सबको मोटिवेट किया और उनको समझाने की कोशिश की। तो ये एक तस्वीर लेकर भी आए थे। ये हम वहाँ पे दिखा रहे थे कि आप ड्रग एब्यूज में जब और ये वहाँ ड्रग डे के साथ ये देखो कि सिगरेट जो है, सिगरेट हम समझते हैं कि हम सिगरेट को पी रहे हैं, मगर एक्चुअली वो सिगरेट हमें पी रहा है। ये मतलब ड्राइंग में हम सब वहाँ पे इस तरह की चीजें दिखा रहे थे, समझा रहे थे। ये जो ड्राइंग जो बनाई है ये हमारे साथी रज़िया जो ये वर्कशॉप तो ये जो सारी मेहनतें ये आपकी है, जो आप ये जो रिजल्ट्स आ रहे हैं ये आपकी काविशें हैं सारी। और सर करीम ख्वाजा साहब के हम शुक्रगुजार हैं जिन्होंने ये आप और हमारे बीच में जो कोलैबोरेशन करवाई और ये रिजल्ट हैं और हमें जो कॉन्फिडेंस मिला है आपके ट्रेनिंग के बाद। ये चीज़ें हमने प्रोग्राम में सबको आप बताया था कि हम हर एक को वर्बली नहीं बता सकते, ड्राइंग के थ्रू, पेंटिंग के थ्रू हम बता सकते हैं कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Dr. Mushtaq, for your words. I think that's a brilliant note to end the panel conversation, the panel discussion. Would you both like to add something at this stage? Pretty speechless. On that note, we'll conclude the panel discussion. I would like to thank the panelists and everyone who has been listening very patiently.